BP says it won't proceed with controversial plans to drill for oil in the Great Australian Bight. The plans to begin exploration drilling off South Australia's west coast have been rejected twice on environmental grounds. However, Managing Director Claire Fitzpatrick says the project now does not line up with the company's strategic goals. Wilderness Society State Director Peter Owen says BP has made the right decision.
I think they should be commended. The Great Australian Bight is a totally inappropriate place to be trying to turn into an oil field. It's extremely rough, it's extremely remote. The risks associated with drilling out here are very high.
Vulnerable rooming house residents are paying a large proportion of their income on rent. Research by the Tenants Union of Victoria shows only 2 out of 108 houses, analysed between January and July, were affordable for low-income earners. Single rooms are typically available for rent in rooming houses. Tenants Union Policy Officer Yael Caspi says people often have few options.
Rooming house residents are particularly vulnerable because they have very few housing options. It's generally an option of last resort. They have nowhere else to live.
The political turmoil which has hung over Brazil for months came to a head yesterday when the President Dilma Rousseff was impeached. The President of the Brazilian Community Council of Australia, Mausi Nascimento, says that Brazilian people in Australia are watching developments closely.
The community is very much divided over it. On the one hand, you've got people who think that it's very unfair with what has been done to her, and they think that there were a lot of political motivations and all these kinds of things. They're calling it a coup and all these kinds of things. And you also have the ones who believe this was all done under the Constitution, and it is a legitimate process.
Richard Azamo came to Australia in 2012, escaping the persecution of gay people in Nigeria, where he was in grave danger due to his work in HIV prevention. Last year, he was awarded the Young Achievers Award at Sydney's Honour Awards for his continued work combating HIV amongst Australia's Nigerian population and in the wider LGBTI community. With nominations now open for the 2016 Honour Awards, Richard says this is an important opportunity to recognise the hard work of people in the LGBTI community.
Ever since I moved to Australia and I've gotten involved in the sector, in HIV sector, I see a lot of young people, even the older people as well, doing a lot of job, in our community, and that's a big deal.
It had been 62 long years since the Western Bulldogs held the Premiership Cup. But on Saturday, following 3 hard-fought wins against the odds, the Doggies pulled off the impossible and beat the Sydney Swans in what was a fairy tale victory. We asked the people of Melbourne how they celebrated.
Postal ballot packs for the upcoming Victorian Council elections will be lighter than usual this year. Controversial legislation pushed through state parliament by the Liberals, Nationals and Greens will see how to vote cards removed from the packs, a decision which Victorian Greens leader Greg Barber hopes will diminish the influence of so-called dummy candidates.
With council elections coming up this October, those wanting to run dummy candidates will have to shell out some extra cash to send out how to vote cards themselves.
Government backbencher Russell Broadbent has called for a tax on sugar, in a move which has won the support of the Greens, but has put him in a line of friendly fire from the Deputy PM and free market think tank, the Institute of Public Affairs.
The idea of a sugar tax is gaining momentum internationally. The World Health Organization has asked countries to consider implementing a tax to curb rising obesity rates. The Makers and Shakers market here in Melbourne is providing a space for emerging designers to showcase their ethical and sustainable designs.
That's why there's more brands like Protocol Daughter coming up, representing where they're from, because if we don't take ownership of our culture, then it's just going to keep getting stolen.
I'm Josh Harris. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull and Immigration Minister Peter Dutton have urged world leaders to follow Australia's lead when it comes to immigration policy. Speaking at a UN summit in New York, Malcolm Turnbull said that world leaders can learn a lot from Australia's tight border controls. What do you think about the Bulldogs?
I think they're really awesome.
Awesome.
They're awesome, yeah, they are, aren't they?
Who's your favourite Bulldog?
Jason!
Jason Johannesson?
Right.
So there you have it. It seems the sons of the West are now truly the sons of Victoria. Josh Harris, Newsline.